R.J. Young is the acclaimed author of The Witch of the Whirlwind, a gripping tale of honour, duty and family set in a world where ancient promises must be fulfilled. And R.J. Young is with us here. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm excellent, thank you. So, your book, The Witch of the Whirlwind, is set in a richly imagined world with some complex characters. So what was the inspiration behind that background?
Well, I was looking to do something fantasy-oriented, something sort of old-school fantasy like Lord of the Rings. And I was looking for different types of mythology, and I found Native American mythology, which I think has been very underused. It's not the kind of thing you see like Greek mythology and Roman and other types of mythology. It's very underappreciated. So I started studying it and I became fascinated with it. And I used it to build this world, this 12th century world full of magic and witches and monsters. And this Native American tribe was caught in the middle of all this chaos.
The protagonist, Tawa, faces an incredible journey and must confront the Witch of the Whirlwind. So what drew you to explore his character and quest in the story?
Well, his story is a coming-of-age story. So he starts out as a young boy of 16 in the first book, somebody who's trying to, like many other young people, trying to find his way in the world, trying to prove himself to his father. And then there's this chaotic situation going on around him. And when his father is suddenly taken away, he's like, oh, now I have the responsibility of this tribe. So it reminded me of something that happened to me because my parents died when I was very young, and I had to get into the kind of jump into the adult world very quickly. So it just reminded me of that, this young boy who has to suddenly be responsible for this whole tribe of people during this time of chaos and danger.
And he has his own children, Pahana and Kia, which adds another layer of complexity to the narrative. So what are your kind of thoughts on how their individual struggles contribute to the overall theme of the book?
Well, the point is how different people handle things in different ways. Tawa is somebody who engenders trust from people around them. They think he's a great leader, they love him, and they want to support him. While his son is like, I have to be apart, I have to be separate, I have to be this fatherly figure where I keep other people at distance and just let everyone respect me, but don't get to know me too well. So it's two completely different ways that they approach leadership. And I just found it interesting to see how the people reacted to him and which way worked better.
And the antagonist as well, the Witch of the Whirlwind, is portrayed as a formidable antagonist. So what was it that made you want to create such a powerful and enigmatic villain for the story?
She's the villain of the second book. I have a first book out. This is the second one. And actually it happened during a hurricane here last year. I thought about this force of nature and this creature who's actually the embodiment of wind in the storms. So I just thought, the Native Americans back then probably had to really deal with, these, for the first time, these weather conditions that we kind of we're used to now. But for the first time, they had, how do we deal with a tornado? How do we deal with a hurricane? So I just created this being who's kind of the embodiment of a cyclone or a tornado and made it into a threat that these people in this village would have to deal with.
And speaking of dealing with things, you yourself have had to overcome depression and social anxiety and avoidant personality disorder. So how did your personal experiences with those influence the emotional depth and character development in the book?
Yes, my problems kind of started when I was younger. Probably when my parents passed away, and I suddenly started feeling depression and anxiety and other things. And I incorporated that because we started out with this very peaceful tribe who was suddenly caught up in this situation where these godlike beings that book is a metaphor for the colonialism, for the Native Americans and when the European powers came in. Yeah. So I just thought what a traumatic experience it would have been for people at that time to suddenly have to deal with these things. And it's kind of also a little bit of a metaphor for me, what I had to deal with as a young boy, suddenly being thrust out into the world to this kind of rather what seemed like a hostile world. So I kind of used that. Like, what would this young leader, this 16-year-old leader, go through if he suddenly had to? It would probably be very traumatic for him. He lost his father. He has this responsibility. And there are a lot of different characters in there who go through different things. His mother loses her husband. There's a character in there who feels a lot of betrayal. There's just different characters, and I want to explore those different emotions that I felt at the world when I went through this period of loss.
Did you find it quite cathartic when you were writing the book, particularly when you were exploring those aspects of it?
Yeah, I did. I hadn't really started out thinking in those terms, but as I was writing, I started discovering that there were parts of me that I could inject into this book, and it was very cathartic to write out in a metaphoric way, kind of what I felt I was dealing with at the time. Yeah.
At the same time, did it bring out negative emotions in you that you maybe didn't expect as well?
Yeah, there were a lot of memories of people who I felt had weren't there for me, or who might have didn't support me. Some friends I had at the time, and that kind of led to there's a character in the book who feels very betrayed and becomes turns from an ally into an anti-hero, into a villain. And I kind of used him as a kind of a weight of just how I felt about some of the people who were the friends who weren't there for me, who kind of let me down when I needed them most. So yeah, it was very cathartic in some ways.
And friendship, as well as duty and the struggle between external influences and personal agency, are themes within the book that it touches on. So how did you see these themes interweaving through the narrative?
Well, the thing is that it's the characters kind of have to balance. Like there's in Pahana in particular, he has to balance between this friendship with this character who's sort of turning to the dark side and becoming worse, and also his duty to his tribe, who says stay away from that guy, we don't trust him, and how he's got, do I stick with my friend, or do I just kind of abandon him because I have a responsibility to this tribe? And he sort of tries to balance it at the beginning, but ultimately he has to make a choice to say, I have to put my responsibility first. There's a lot about responsibility and duty in the book, but sometimes how responsibility has to sometimes come before everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose the protagonist, Tawa, has to have a lot of responsibility because he has to face his foes alone during the quest. So how do you think the themes of solitude and self-discovery played into the broader message of the story?
Well, that was something that was very cathartic for me, because I went through that whole period of depression and social anxiety where I kind of isolated myself. So I kind of thought, of a young person facing the world alone. So that's kind of what I thought of as Tawa, to separate him from his people and send him on this quest into this hostile world where he has to do things by himself, and he can't rely on anyone else. It's just me and my ability to be clever and quick and strong, and see how I can survive that way.
And obviously, as you mentioned, that kind of resonates with you. Do you think it's going to resonate with quite a lot of the readers on a personal level? Both that, but many things in the book.
Yeah, I hope so. That's I put a lot of subtext in there, which I thought was, as a younger person, I worked in this book for a long time, and growing up, and I really felt that it helped me a lot. And I think there's a lot of people who would experience a lot of the things. They might experience, fear of isolation. They might experience betrayal, maybe whether it's divorce or whatever. They might experience just hostility of being physically in danger. People who have been through all kinds of things. And I think there's a lot of things in this book that people will resonate and connect with. That will, I think, hopefully be cathartic.
Well, are you working on any more books at the moment?
Yes, I am. I'm working on the third book of the series, which should be released in January for pre-sale. And I have other projects I'll be working on soon after that. So yes, I do have a lot of projects I'm working on.
Excellent. And in the meantime, where are we able to find The Witch of the Whirlwind books if we want to read them? You
can find on Amazon, on Goodreads, and it's on most platforms. It's published by Four Horsemen Publications, and you can just put down this book series is called The Sky Elders. The first book is called The Challenges of Tawa, and the second book is called The Witch of the Whirlwind. So and my name is RJ Young, so look those up and you should be able to find them. It's on hardcover and softcover and Kindle.
Excellent. Well, many thanks for joining us today. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you.